All right, thanks for your patience, folks. Looking to resume our regular meeting of council for Monday, December the 4th, marginally past 7:05. Like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the shared traditional lands of the Coast Salish people this evening. We are looking for approval of our agenda for tonight.
Move approval. Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. First item up is public participation, and we have a few, so anybody that would like to come forward, come on to the podium. Oh no, not you.
Is this?
That's a welcome.
Like, you're going to put hair back?
Yeah, maybe you should have a hat on there.
It's got a filter on it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and staff. Thank you for this meeting tonight. I'm here because I don't want to be here. And I'm getting phone calls from the community, and I don't get paid the big bucks, such as you guys, to deal with it. Sorry, $1 an hour. It's to do with the OCP and the OCP planned workshop that took place. And I just want to alert you that there's, for whatever reason, whether it's the people that were in the room or for whatever reason, there's lots of rumors out there, but there seems to be a genuine disconnect. Mayor and council weren't there for whatever reason. Doesn't really matter to me so much, is that people were concerned. And I don't expect you to attend all the meetings, and I know that part of the process. The concern isn't small, it's significant. And so that's why I bring it to your attention. I don't want to speak publicly about it, but it is a significant concern. The prepared summary that you'll get with the draft OCP of the content of the meeting is different than that public conversation or a conversation that you can have with stakeholders, developers, and businesses in our community. That is real. The prepared summary won't get that same context that you can get from that gut feeling of talking to an individual that is investing millions of dollars in your community. There are real concerns that will affect the average taxpayer in this document. It'll also affect affordable housing, and it will affect staff time and council time. You saw the insight to create a committee for the draft or the interim tree bylaw, which I think is warranted. I think it's a good idea that you create that interim committee to divest or at least acknowledge where you can improve that so it works for the benefit of the community. This OCP and the standards or the policies that are contained will have a lot larger effect than the tree bylaw, to the point where it will deal with affordable housing, it will deal with taxes to you and I, small individuals that don't have a big stake in our community. I see as a measure to stop that disconnect or the rumors of council, at least looking at creating a liaison committee similar to the tree committee that you're creating, to the benefit of the stakeholders, to our citizens and the developers and even yourselves and staff. You have a great staff, you have a great mayor and council, you have a great community, but I think that disconnect will hurt what I see as a good OCP coming out to fruition at the end of the process. So that's all I'm saying. I'm hearing it because I've sat there before, and it's just a bit of warning that I think that there needs to be a system in place to just bridge that disconnect. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, we shall move on. Mayor's message. We're getting into that season where lots of things are happening, so coming up quickly is Wednesday's Light Up. There's lots of fun things prepared for out in the parking lot, and we're hoping that the sunshine today will continue through, which means it'll be cold and crisp and not wet and windy. So that will happen December the 6th at 6 p.m. December 11th, marks our first committee of the whole with a budget focus, but there will be some other things on the agenda, I understand, as it comes forward. So we'll be looking forward to that and hoping for participation from our ever-present public. December 19th, we have Our Place, of which council has committed to coming down and helping down at there for the Christmas meal for those folks who are not quite so fortunate in our community. Salvation Army is also looking for a Red Kettle contribution. Thrifty Foods in Colwood, so date will be coming forward. We'll be happy out there to be all singing and jingling. And note of business, and I'll send it out to council members. I need somebody to check their schedule for 10:30 till 12:30 on December the 12th. There is an FCM conference on community, and I have transit in that morning time place, so I can't attend. So they're looking for someone in my stead. So we'll send that out for you to take a look at and see if you can, if somebody can participate. So take a look on that one. Had a privilege of attending long service awards for staff this weekend and make presentation to a number of folks who've spent a lot of time working here in the city, and most of them in public works, but a couple in our own administration. So keeping the city all shaped up in the green and looking good. So it was a pleasure for that. So anybody else on council got anything coming forward in the next short while?
I don't have anything up, but other than just a reminder that the West Shore Park and Rec pool is closed for the next week and a half. For the annual
Regular maintenance. There we go. It's always good to get that out for people so they're not disappointed. Looking for one set of minutes for adoption. Regular meeting of council, November 27th. Yesterday.
Just to let you know, one amendment that I believe we need to make, we need to, when we approved the agenda, we actually amended it by taking out the notification that said we were to have no in camera, but we did in fact have an item that needed to be discussed in camera. So I'm not quite sure what the best way to capture that is, except maybe to say that the agenda be approved as amended, add in camera. With that,
I'm lost.
Through you, Madam Mayor. That would work. We had some discussion about whether under the in-camera section where it said originally there was no in-camera business, that there would be in-camera business. But if we really look at the bigger picture about making sure our agenda ties to the minutes, we should show the agenda as amended and then just state, as Councillor Day just said, that there will be an in-camera meeting after all with the reasons stated under the in-camera section.
Yeah. So with that amendment.
so I would move adoption of the minutes with that amendment.
Seconder? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 5 on our correspondence is the report from the West Shore RCMP, and it is our quarterly report. Any comments to it?
If I may, Madam Mayor, I'll just briefly comment. We have sent a message out to Inspector Cholman to find out in the future, as his quarterly reports are coming through, if he'd like to make arrangements to come to the council meetings and actually present on the quarterly reports. For this specific report, though, I believe that Councillor Day is going to make comment.
I think with the retirement of Sergeant Wright, we're missing.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just, I did send a note because I'm still finding my way with our changes to our committee system. Normally, you know, this would come to the Protective Services Committee in the past, and we would have an opportunity to kind of unpack the report a little bit. So I just wanted to draw a couple of things to our attention about what's happening in the West Shore. I did send a quick note to Inspector Choman today, but I notice he is away on holidays. Someone is filling in for him, so it probably doesn't have much time at this particular moment to talk about it. But it's not things that we haven't seen before. I just wanted to draw our attention to the fact that on, I'm just going to get you the page 2, there is a tally of the total file count for the West Shore, including the second quarter and the year-to-date with comparisons between this year and last year. And there were 3 offenses that are up quite significantly. Theft of autos is highly variable depending on when certain individuals are in or out of jail, which is why we target our prolific offenders. So it is up 79% over last year. So that's just a reminder to our citizens to lock your car and don't leave your purse in it, because as much as we can do things about not having things stolen. Also break and enter for business and for other, which I believe represents sheds, outbuildings, that type of thing, up 48 and 59% respectively. So, and that's also on page 3, you can see how specifically in Colwood, those same trends are there. Theft of auto is up 162% in Colwood. Break and enter for businesses is up 71%. And break and enter for other, which I assume is garages and sheds, is up 60%. So being really vigilant could make a big difference in those statistics. And then just for citizens, there are a couple of maps attached, the property crime maps. They're on pages 7 and 8. And they don't have their legend with them, which it's fairly self-explanatory. Where there's a car, that's a car theft. Where there's a bicycle, that's a bicycle theft. But I have asked to get the legend and get those maps so that maybe we can share those on our website, because I think they really bring it home to you that it's happening in and around all of our neighborhoods. And so the little things that we can do, like not leaving your car unlocked and making sure your house is locked and making sure your valuables are stored where they can't be seen through a window, all make a big difference. I know in my family, a break and enter many years ago stole all the Christmas presents. It was a really grinchy thing to have happen. And it left a feeling for the senior citizen that it happened to in my family, feeling kind of unsafe for a long, long time. So I just thought it was timely to try to remind everybody. There are a lot of great statistics showing that West Shore RCMP is working hard on especially identifying members of the newly emerged Savages Motorcycle Club, which even though it's not based in Colwood, it does affect us all. And they are working to share intelligence with other police agencies and also to increase training for all of their officers in the specifics that they need to know to deal with those types of situations. There's also been a big distracted driving campaign going on where they've issued 68 tickets, and there's been 5 awareness enforcement campaigns targeted at distracted driving in the West Shore. And just to round it out, we started our meeting acknowledging the traditional territories. We know that First Nations are hugely overrepresented in the justice system, and we have a really excellent First Nations liaison member who has organized a restorative justice forum for 4 community youth who were involved in a mischief file. And the First Nation policing member also met with youth from Esquimalt Nation in their summer youth program and discussed, how to access 911. And the West Shore traffic section has been conducting focused enforcement on boat trailers. Those are all things that really affect the First Nations and help to promote a positive relationship, which I believe they have accomplished. So just a few highlights for you to bring it down to our community level.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions to Councillor Day? Seeing none, move receipt on the report. Seconder? Second. All those in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Moving on to new business under planning and land use. We have one item before us, and it is a quarterly report on status.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to start off by acknowledging the good work of our planning technician, Richard Buchan, who put this status report together. He did that with the help of planning staff as well as the manager of development and subdivision. So we definitely saw a bit of a lull through the summer in terms of development activity and applications here in the plan department anyways. We were seeing a lot of plans implemented through the summer, and now we're seeing an uptake again with applications for new rezonings and development permits for work that would start in the new year and into the spring. Rather than going through each item blow for blow, I thought that I would just touch on some highlights and then open it up to questions. So probably our most significant rezoning application that came in since the last status update is the application for a new comprehensive development zone at Souk Road, and so it's a 2300 block of Souk Road. So they see that at the bottom of the first page on the left-hand side. That's a rezoning that we will likely see going to the Advisory Planning Commission in January or February. So quite a substantial project being proposed there. I also like to highlight the fact that some of these drawings, the plans have actually changed since this was compiled. So it's particular note 468, 474, and 476 Goldstream. So that's the rezoning application, development permit application at the top of page 2 on the right-hand side. That's the what was known as the landmark development. That plan is being worked on by staff and the applicant through the development permit process, and likely be quite a different looking building. So just like to highlight that. Also at 3221 Heather Bell, that's the Pacific Landing development. Just below that last, the Goldstream project there. That elevation has now been replaced with what we think is a better looking building that's taking more cues from the historical architecture on site, primarily the Pendray House. Lastly, I'd like to highlight the fact that 300 Belmont, Phase 2, is close to getting a building permit. That's the project on the sort of the mid left-hand side of page 3 there. I just wanted to highlight the fact that that was actually left off the last couple status reports, and we wanted to highlight the fact that that's moving towards Phase 2 construction starting in 2018. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
Councillor Day.
Thank you. You mentioned that there was changes coming to the development known as Landmark at 468, 474, and 476 Goldstream Avenue. And I noticed when I was looking at the drawing, perhaps it's just the way it looks, but is there still not a plan to have the Colwood Dairy Building located there?
Yes, that's certainly all in the plan. There is a development agreement that's on its way to being registered, and once that's complete, we'll be bringing it back for fourth reading to council. I just wanted to highlight the fact that these are the drawings that are brought forth through the rezoning. They are the form of the development won't change. The conditions of the development won't change. It's just that we're working on what we think is improved architectural characteristics.
Would it be possible in the next drawing that you do that we show the dairy building, which is, I believe, supposed to be at the front left-hand corner?
Certainly, we're actually working. One of the conditions of the rezoning was that there would be a heritage restoration plan developed prior to the development permit issuance. So if they wanted to see this project through 2018, we'd like to be seeing that in the next several months. And that would be certainly something that would probably be of interest to council, and we could share at the next update. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I have two questions. The 3381 Anchorage, is that right at the corner of Anchorage and Lagoon? Because there's I've had a couple people ask me, because it's just been like clear cut right there. Is that the project?
It is on the corner. I'm not sure if it's the one you're talking about being.
No, it's the only corner so I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. And the second question I have for you, the Pacific Landing, Phase 1, I've actually met a couple neighbors who have looked like they've moved in. So has that building got building occupancy now? Like, is it?
Yes, it has. The building itself is there's a couple areas where they're not quite finished the cladding. There's particularly the corner closest to the waterfront. They've talked to us about making improvements to that facade and potentially incorporating artisan space and maybe some way to create excitement in the summer with artists, and that would require a modification to that wall. So we agreed to that aspect of the development permit not being implemented, with the understanding that there would be improvements coming forward in the new year.
That's all.
Good.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All good. Move receipt of the quarterly report.
Move receipt. Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on into bylaws number 7.1, bylaw number 1715 for final reading. City of Colwood bylaw and subdivision and development bylaw number 285, 1995, amendment number 55 for schedules K and L.
Move final.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. And 7.2, motion to rescind policy resolution number 123 and policy resolution number 124. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. We've completed our in-camera on an earlier. And done our releases, so looking
Move
for...
adjournment.
That's the one, Councillor Logan. Nothing's changed.